All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the January 22nd meeting of CB11's Executive Committee. My name is Adem Bria, and I'm the chair of the committee and the chair of CB11. This meeting is called to order at 6:30 p.m. Tonight, we are joined by our staff liaison and district manager, Angel Muskane. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. To raise your hand through Zoom, click the participant's icon and you will find the raise hand function there. You should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. The chat should not be used to discuss or pose questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record. Please keep your questions and comments brief and on topic to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. We will now take roll call. Please mute yourself. We will now take attendance by roll call. Angel, if you could.
Jose Altamirano, Adem Bria,
Present.
Rosa Diaz,
Present.
Jewel Jones,
Present.
Sage Mason, Nelson Orama,
Present.
Asher Rodriguez,
Present.
Xavier Santiago, Derek Stampone,
Present.
Emery Vasquez,
Present.
Jason Villanueva.
He's going to be here.
We have quorum.
All right, thank you. With that said, we'll move to the adoption of this evening's agenda. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. If there's no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Committee members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Okay, seeing no objection, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. Adoption of the meeting minutes. Before I go to that, do we have the meeting minutes for this?
I sent them with the email.
Okay, great, sorry. The minutes from our last meeting were distributed to committee members ahead of time by the board office. If there's no objection, we will adopt the minutes from the last meeting. Committee members, if you object to adopting the minutes, you may raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Okay, seeing no objections, the minutes from the last meeting are adopted. The minutes of tonight's meeting are being taken by, well, hopefully Jose will do them, but for tonight, I will do them. I could assign to one of you, but I'll do it, all right? No, he's not. Okay, announcements. Sage is supposed to come, and he's still working on his budget tracker tool. I went to the district needs meeting this month, and it was a very good meeting. He talked about that. They also got the independent budget office in there, and I think when the mayor releases his preliminary budget, they're like the first ones to kind of pull it, audit it, or whatever. Very briefly, what I found very helpful is they really want to come and work with us. And I said to them, like, one of the issues I think we have, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, is when we do our budget priorities and requests, right, a lot of times we get like the same run-of-the-mill answers, right? Like, you asked the wrong agency. We agree, but we can't fund it. We don't, right? I said to them, is it possible we've kind of put the draft together, we could share it with you guys, and you guys could be like, hey, listen, don't ask for that this year, ask for this, ask that way and that. And they said they'd be willing to maybe not go through the whole thing, but work on that. And they're also going to try to get us some more micro information about spending and within our community. They said they probably can't do it for everything. They made no promises. One of them lives in the district, so I was like, come on. But sanitation, they mentioned, could be something they could look into. And we stressed obviously the issue with us having an interim garage and still housing CB10s. So they're aware of that. And so Sage did a great job of bringing them in. And it was a good meeting. So if he comes in, we'll give him a few minutes on the budget tracker. Announcements, I'll just say.
I'm sorry, I had a question regarding that.
Yeah.
Do we know yet when the hearings are taking place? I know it's typically like February, March. Have we received those yet? I didn't see anything.
No, I'll find out. They showed the thing. I know that because we have a new mayor thing,
Yes.
that deadline got pushed back for him to release his budget, but then everything else is going to be in line. I think
Okay.
March we
That's
have to
committee
have.
members asking.
I think, our review of what they've submitted. And then I don't think we've typically had a public hearing for that, but I'm considering.
No, what I'm saying is the city, I'm sorry, I had a couple of like committee members ask me because city council does hold like testimony here.
Oh, I will find that out for
based
you.
on like
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was at Borough Board and they talked about a bunch of things and I don't think they talked about that, so I will ask about that and I will get back to you. On that topic, I went to Borough Board. I enjoyed it. I think, my goal is to represent us strong over there. I encourage you guys to watch when I talk, and hold me accountable for what I say. And if any of you ever want to come with me, you're welcome. We'll do a little, school trip. And then I'm gonna just bring this up here and then Sage, I'll give you the floor. I wrote a resolution, it's over here, and I kind of like got inspired because Community Board 3 Chair, which I'll share with all of you, they passed some resolutions regarding ICE and just, how they're going into their communities. I think it was more of a citywide thing that they put through. And, I thought they were effective. Then I just got to thinking like, imagine a day, where no undocumented workers in this city work. We'd be crippled. And it's actually, I think, feasible to get it where they don't have to go to work and the city could raise the money to get them paid for that day. And I wrote a resolution, which obviously we're not voting on or anything, but I want to share it with you. I got to fix some of the footnotes, but I'd like for us to think about it, read it. We can talk about it next month. I think it's a worthwhile thing to ask for. I think they deserve recognition, and I think if it could actually be pulled off, I think we'd have a really rough day in the city, but I think it would be good. With that said, Sage,
Yeah,
the floor is yours to talk about your the budget tracker tool.
sure. Could we, I don't know if we can, is somebody like able to share a screen on the screen? Okay, just the CB11 website. So I've incorporated all of the feedback I got in the presentations on the budget tracker tool that I did mostly in November. And then I presented this updated version of the submission form to District Needs and Budget on Tuesday of this week. The independent budget office of the city came and they did a great presentation on the budget process. Adem was there, did a great job participating, being present. And Angel kindly added, just as an initial thing to do, a button on the website. So if you go to About CB11 and scroll, now there's a new button where it says, budget request submission form. If you click that, and this is public facing, anybody will be brought to this survey where any member of the community, any organization, CB11 member, anybody can submit a proposed budget request that is automatically routed to the appropriate committee. The form is supposed to be very easy, like first name, last name, email. If you don't have an email, you can put in a phone number. Anybody can fill out this form on behalf of somebody else if need be. If you are an organization, some people asked if organizations could submit like additional materials about like how much support they might have or like where they're coming from, how they got to CB11, and if they would be willing to present on their submission. And there's an option for that if somebody is part of an organization. I also incorporated Jose's feedback where we sort of default to somebody who wants to submit a proposed budget request, just typing out what their request is. And then if they want, sort of selecting the category that the request would go into, but because it's just a little overwhelming to like know what all the categories are when you get to that page, they can just select like I'm not sure, and the committee on the back end will pick the category that it goes in, just to make it as accessible as possible to people, and minimizing like the barriers for people to feel like actually this is too much for me to do right now. So it's supposed to be as easy as possible. And then once somebody submits a request, the chair of the committee that the request is supposed to go to automatically gets an email with instructions saying to review the request at your next meeting. And then at the following meeting to vote on whether to accept it, maybe forward it to another committee. There's also a button now to forward the request to another committee if you think another committee should give input. And when you click that button, the other committee automatically gets an email saying, this committee wants you to, give feedback on this. And then the forwarded committee would have a month to review it, type in some comments, and then send it back to the other committee. And ideally, this would just be happening continuously. So my goal is for everybody on this committee, chairs of every committee, to every month when you get to old business on your agenda, just have like a link ready to see if you have any pending budget requests, and then go there, see, maybe you don't, move on. If you do, then just read it, talk about it, and then come back next month and take action. And the goal is for this to be happening throughout the year, so that when it comes time to rank our requests, think about them, submit them, we've already done pretty much all of that. And throughout the process have been interacting with city agencies about how to make those requests as strong as possible. So that's pretty much that. Please.
So Deb had mentioned that the people from the IBO said that they could possibly give us some feedback on how to make these requests, write them in a way that'll get better results, hopefully. Have you thought about yet how to kind of work them into this process, since we are hopefully doing our work a lot earlier than October?
Sure. Well, I think the Independent Budget Office, they offered to help us however they can. I think they're more interested in kind of looking at things holistically and seeing where we might be able to improve. I don't think they would consider themselves like a real part of the budget process. More so, just looking at stats. Hey, we noticed this. Have you thought about this? And I'm scheduled a follow-up meeting with somebody from their office, and I can talk to her about that then. I'm happy to have them involved. We also sent them the worksheet for this fiscal year that has all of our pending budget requests, and they have offered to give us feedback on that. So I'm sure, I don't know how helpful it's going to be. Hopefully, very helpful. They're great. They're very smart. They're talented, and this is what they want to do. But there's no formal timeline. It's not like with city agencies where you send a request for a meeting and they're kind of required to meet with you on something specific. But I can make it a goal to get their feedback within a reasonable time frame so that we can improve our new request for next year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Asher, and then we'll move to the next.
My only request is that you could put maybe for organizations or the public, just a note, because youth and education, we've had so many that haven't gotten approved in a long time. We're kind of trying to we would prefer people to come present to us before we put anything new on. So if you can maybe put, hey, if this is an education request, please note that you will be asked to present it if you need.
Okay, I can. There's a bit where it's are you willing to come to present?
Well,
And they have to put in their contact information.
well, we have already pretty much have put, and I've said this during the meetings, we're not really gonna put any requests on our request if no one comes and presents.
Okay, so you as a chair, you can tell the people that when they submit one, you can be like, hey, we saw your submission and we would love for you to come and present. I think that would be a good way to do that. And then maybe that also warms the relationship a little bit, because some people just might not feel comfortable just showing up if they haven't talked to you about it already. I don't know. Is that helpful?
Yes, yeah, I'll do what you said.
All right, Xavier, last question on it.
Thank you. With the request, I think a good way, say, for example, attending a lot of events like Adams and Marie, we all go to these events, and there may be something that we'd be privy to, say, crossing guards. Right? There's been a request for more crossing guards, which would then go into a budget request. For example, on 96 in Park, even though we have them on Lex, we have them on Madison, but we don't have them on Park, which isn't in here. So that sounds more like that's what it is. And I would say with Asher, we could push perhaps an asterisk, if it's advised or recommended with some little asterisk says, please come to the committee too, so that you can that will help inform, because it's a recommendation, just like we do this survey, but thank you for doing this. So, that's all.
I will say on that, I think it would be great if we just kind of got into the habit of like, somebody says, can we have more crossing guards on, was it 96 and Park? So we can put in that request right now in like 5 minutes, maybe less, and then it would be there. It might already be a request, because I feel like we did that. But the goal is just like, for this to be like a default thing that we can like offer people.
Just more, sorry, can I clarify? Just more to clarify, it's more for like the school building repairs request. Because we've had like, because it's like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to articulate what I'm trying to say. Like, we've had schools come to us, like kids come to us and be like, hey, look, this is what's wrong with this is what's wrong with this. We're gonna consider that a lot more, because then when we're advocating for something, that, hey, look, the kids from the school can do it. Like, I don't wanna like put in a request that like, one parent says that they didn't like the color of the doors or something like that. I know that's dramatic, but like, it happens, so.
Yeah, I think I want as many people to come and present as possible. I think that would be extremely helpful. But I just, ask the chairs to take that on themselves to make that happen.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sage. Thank you, everybody, for the questions. We'll move, so how we're gonna do this, but we don't really have anyone, let me make one last announcement. So when I went to Borough Board today, and I've been asking, there've been some questions about remote participation. And obviously that's still an option. The qualified disability forms will still be a thing, but open meetings law requires people who are remote to have their cameras on to be considered present. And it's a law, and it's what should be happening anyway. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Members are gonna be more engaged when their cameras are on. And that's why we're doing it like this. We'll read the whole agenda in, and I'll do that. And that way, unless there's a presentation, instead of just looking at the blue screen with the same thing all night, we feel like we're in the room with the people that are here. Since we haven't been doing it, and we're not the only board that hasn't been doing it right, I'm gonna announce this at full board. I'm gonna be telling everybody, sending out an email, but beginning in February, if your camera's not on and you're remote, even if you fill out the form, you will be marked absent. Now, there are exceptions. If you go to use the restroom, whatever, yeah, but if your camera's off for like 2 hours in a 2.5 hour meeting, you will be marked absent. Apparently we are, and I'm not really for this at the moment, I'm just for getting people engaged. We are able, well, not we, maybe I am, I think, able to ask what their reason for their filling the form out is. Like, apparently, according to Borough President's Council, and it's gonna be on the Borough Board video, it was said there. I have it in writing, not this part, but we can decide if that's something we wanna do, or if we wanna keep doing it the way we've been doing it, which has been an honor system. I open to all your feedback. My feeling at the moment is to leave that the way it's been. I think that there's a chance that some people have used that form maybe when they shouldn't have, but at the same time, there might be situations where people really don't want to share what they're going through, and I'd be more worried about putting people in that predicament. So my feeling is keep the form the way we've been doing it for now, but then the cameras have to be on. I will go to Asher and then Nosa.
Yeah, I would say keep it as it is now, however, with the cameras on.
Yes.
If you're in like an airport or a train station, like, let's be for real, that's not a disability or something like that.
And we're not the only.
Yeah, I know, I'm just saying, like, I feel like,
Yeah.
just like make that clear, like, be like, hey, yes, form, yes, but if you're in like, there's nuance to everything, but if it's like very obvious that you're like walking in the street, like not like walking outside in the street, or like you're in like a subway station or something, like there's no reason.
I agree with you.
Disability means you're home.
Yeah, I mean, again, these are not unique challenges to us. This is something all boards are facing, and I think it's the productivity of the board. I think you did an amazing job, but I would argue that when you're all on Zoom, it could be more effective than when it's hybrid, if the people on Zoom are very disconnected. It's almost like you have one group and another group, so it's more of a balancing act. And I'm just gonna be honest, my opinion is you signed up to show up to these meetings and be engaged. And, and to any members who, for whatever reason, if they don't want people to see where they are, whatever, and they don't know how to do it, we can assist them with blurring their backgrounds or putting a fake background up behind them to give them that privacy. And again, this is the law. So it really, this is not really up for debate, and it's not even my opinion, it's the law, so no, sir.
Just to clarify, you're able to ask, if I give a disability form, why I'm not at the meeting, or you using that if I don't put on my camera?
No, I'm able to apparently ask
No,
to,
okay.
from my understanding, I'm allowed to ask regardless.
Okay,
If you fill out a form,
right,
I can ask, not like probing questions, but I could be like, I need a doctor's note. I could do that. But they're not requiring us to do that, and I'm not for that.
no, I just want clarity, because, so for instance, I don't have a problem, when I use the disability form to be on camera. But if I don't go on camera, and I consistently don't go on camera, then my suggestion would be that may be a point where you alone should ask what that is, and that should not be disclosed to the
Oh, and it
people.
won't be. I think it would have to just be to me. And to be honest with you, like, I don't really want to know. I think Angel has said that many times, like, don't tell me why, just fill the form out, and I agree with that. I agree with you. I will say the flip side is, keep doing it, you're gonna have attendance issues, and you're gonna get called in now. And we'll get to a discussion on that more later. Kyoko?
A quick question for a new person. So the disability form is for people who can't make it to the meeting,
Yeah.
consistently, or is it?
So you can fill it out with an end date, right? Let's say you have like the flu and you think you're gonna be out for 2 weeks, you put that down, you can always change it. Or you can put down indefinite, that you have a permanent disability, and then it'll be in effect, and should your situation change, then you can come and notify the board that I will be returning. So you could essentially put down whatever date you want. It doesn't really have to be, as far as I understood, for mental health or for a physical ailment. There are other exceptions. That is up to the board's interpretation. But I think the focus here should be going with what open meetings law says. And I think that in this case, following the law is actually going to also, I think, help us get more work done.
I'm sorry, one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So is it fair to ask, when it's used for convenience, is it fair to the rest of the people that we do our best to make it to these meetings? Like, I just also always remember I ran from the hospital being there for 12 hours because I didn't fill out the form that particular day. I actually was in the hospital, literally was in the hospital on Zoom, and still made it to the office. But I feel like we see a lot of people in the communities that doing the South Side, and then they can't make it to these meetings. How fair is that to people who are doing their best to come?
I'll tell you this, right? This is a consensus thing. If more of you want me to do that than less, we'll do that. I'm just saying personally, but I agree with you. I agree that it isn't fair. And I think that it's a fair point. So, I mean, I think this is an open discussion. But the camera thing is happening in February. This other thing, we can put this in at any time, we could change our minds, whatever. I don't like to flip flop, so I think we'd be a little thoughtful, but I'm open to whatever you guys as a consensus want. Xavier?
For those that weren't on the board when this happened during Nilsson and I's tenure, there were 2 laws that were passed because we had to go virtual and not be in violation of open meetings law, which allowed us to actually conduct meetings over Zoom. And then because of COVID, and when we came into a hybrid situation, we were returning or return to the office kind of scenario, they passed another law where they allowed those with disabilities, and it was very broad. language that left open to the interpretation to the individual bodies that were dealing with the governance and open meetings law. Case in point, they gave examples, say you're severe asthmatic and you got exposed to COVID, that would be qualified. At the time, we were advised by the previous legal counsel that kind of like a don't ask, don't tell, you take it on the honor system. Like the position you're in now, everyone proceeded to share with me whether they were dealing with, say, for example, if they were dealing with an immunocompromised situation temporarily. So that's why it kind of involved in this. But to your point, which I think is we have to be consistent, I fully believe cameras should be on. So
That's, I would do it tomorrow, but I figure I'd give everybody till February
And Neil
1st.
said, you don't mind if I give a shout out, because you had used it at one point and you're like, I feel like I look horrible, and you still came on camera.
And I did look
You
horrible,
you
but I
did
still
not.
came on
You did
camera.
not, but
And
for
you
the
did
record. But I'm just saying is that if people who are capable of doing it, then we should all do it, and this starts here at this table. So that's, so we get back on this.
Anne Marie, then Asher.
So question, before COVID, was this
No.
form that exist?
No, we had, before COVID, we had to come in person. There was no virtual option.
So this happened after COVID because, so then why is
It's
it over?
There's been the argument that,
Let's change this,
but
let's go
now
back.
there's the argument that the world has changed and you're able to, a lot of companies now can successfully have people participate remotely. So I think COVID showed that this could work. Xavier and Milsa made it work when they did it, when it was fully remote. I don't think it can't work now, but it doesn't work with the cameras. 1,000,000%. It just does not work.
But it's only till 20.
It's gonna have to get extended again. They
Yes.
think it probably will, is what they said.
Yeah.
They don't think that it will not. Asher?
I would just, to the point, the cameras being on, I think that will also, like, and we spoke about this before in executive, like, meet out the, like, who's abusing it type thing. Because I remember at one meeting, we said, if you just straight up say, hey, I'm on the train and I'm gonna use the disability form, that doesn't count. Like, we agreed on that. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, a while ago, that if we find out someone's just straight up, like, abusing it, we could count that as an absence.
Right.
So I think having the cameras on will very much show, hey, look, this is what you're doing. You can't deny it at this point. So
We passed a resolution, Angel shared it with me in 2023, I believe, right, Angel?
Okay.
Somewhat to the effect that as a board, we adopted this position, that you be seen and heard. And so, I don't know, seen and heard, maybe we could restate it, Angel even made the case, maybe it could be written a little bit more clear now, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory, and then that's all. A couple other points, during an executive session, cameras can be off if you're remote. And members of the public and electeds and their reps can speak with their cameras off, but I asked, and I will never not allow a member of the public to speak camera on or camera off. We're here to listen to what they have to say. But I did tell them about the email that I sent to the electeds, that I will not allow their reps to speak if their cameras are off. And I am able to enforce that. Now, they're not required to do it, but it is at my discretion to tell them, well, then if you don't, you can't speak, and that will be what we do. But just so you know, that requirement is on us. It's not on anyone else, but I can use my discretion with the electeds, and I've never seen an elected come and not show their face, so that's not gonna happen. But the reps, and then, people in the public, I want more people to come and speak in whatever capacity it is, so we're not gonna ever discourage. And you don't know, some people don't, they're nervous, whatever, that I understand. So I think, I'm glad to hear that we're all on the same page. I know this is a very committed group at this table, so I'm, happy we're all together on this, because I think it might be a little bit tough at first, but I think we'll come out on the other side much better for this. And I think that, it's a commitment. Everything, you have to, if you agree to a certain amount of stuff. You almost signed a contract with the borough president when you joined on this board. And so you have to uphold that. And you owe it to your community to participate in the way you said you would when you joined. Okay, so with that said, I'm just gonna do it for the sake of it, and then we're gonna try to go through all this quickly. I'm just gonna read all the presentations and discussions, and then we'll go back. That's why we could be on here. So A is discussion regarding concerns related to operations of Skybox Sports Bar located at 2241 First Avenue. B is not happening. The establishment is closing at the end of the month. They notified us, Marlene via email, and she forwarded it to me. So there is no reason to have them come in with that. Yeah.
Why are they closing because of
They did not say. Yeah, so I don't know. And then C is discussion on St. Francis Friends of the Poor proposed support of affordable housing development at 2162 Third Avenue. And then we'll have a brief discussion on committee chair and vice chair responsibilities, expectations and accountability. And we'll go into an executive session for our due process hearings for board member attendance. And then on the other side of that, I think we just have before or after, we'll have a little bit more of a discussion on attendance. I just think there's a couple more things to touch on. And so then with that said, we will now go back to A, and we'll go to Skybox Sports Bar. Is anyone from here? How are you? Do you want to sit there? We can all see you. Usually we could have a seat here, but introduce yourself. I know we called you here, but if you want to share anything first, you're welcome to. Then I have a few things to say, and then we'll see if there's questions or comments for everyone else. And then I don't know where we're going with this, but let's just have a conversation, okay?
Okay, I'm Janice Torres. I'm the owner for Skybox. And this is my dad. And this is his paralegal. So yeah, we're here because of you guys have sent me an email in regards to Skybox having exotic dancing. So one thing is I'm a competitive pole fitness. So I wanted to bring that to the community once I found out that it was a sport. That's all. It was no nudity, no nothing like that. It was just to bring that sport to the premise. That's all it was. That's it. If it's frowned upon, my dad said just to stop it or whatever it is. But yeah, it wasn't to do any type of like stripping or nudity or any exotic.
Well, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being open to everything. You know, you haven't had, as far as I know, in person, excessive 311 calls or whatever. It was brought to the board's attention. I think there might have been some advertising for it. I don't know. Without getting into any details, we dealt with an establishment that was, I'm not saying doing similar things, but that when we heard what was going on, it seemed like it could be adjacent. And it also felt like we have to be fair in how we consider everything. With that said, and I have it somewhere, but you know, if you guys want me to share, I'll find it. There was a post that was shared with me, and there was pole dancing happening. There was not nudity. There wasn't, but it was very little clothing, and there was a cover fee. It was a promotion, and you were at $20 to come in as somebody to watch, and people were throwing singles at the people on the pole, which I haven't seen a competitive pole thing, so I wouldn't know. But I mean, that is, and I don't know, that seemed a little bit different than what you were saying. And then my only other point is, and this is confusing, exotic dancing. You can look it up on the SLA. Pole dancing qualifies as exotic dancing. The problem is that and I can understand how that could be confusing. I don't think you checked that box on your 30-day notice. I don't know if you checked that box with the SLA, meaning then that you're essentially having what they would consider exotic dancing, and you didn't notify them of that. But I don't know. I didn't see your application. I just can pull it up, but I don't think you put in your 30-day notice, which would go to them. So those are my only comments. I guess my question to you is, are you aware of what I'm talking about? And
Yes.
if you can explain that, because it does seem to me a little bit different than what you're saying.
So when it comes to competitive pole fitness, you're allowed to wear a lot of just bikini top, shorts, just anything like that. Like for instance, there's a pole fitness class school up the block from Skybox called P2P.
I saw that in your email.
Yeah, so you also see their posts. They're also dressed as well. You know, we have bikini tops, things like that. It's just how, we're allowed to dress when it comes to that. And then during showcases, we do also charge at the door because it's a show and all those are going to the contestants and so forth. So it's like a small competitive. And then also in a normal pole also showcases, it's allowed to throw singles at them as well. But again, there's no nudity, there's no dancing on people, there's no touching.
I didn't see any of
Yeah,
that,
there's
so,
nothing
yeah.
like that. It's just the point of looking at how both men and women, because we also had remember them. It was a little bit, I guess they didn't, so we thought about bringing that a different day, but it was just to see like the upper body, the strength of really what it shows. A lot of our customers were actually introduced and they were impressed to see like, okay, this is different from the natural, I guess from the, what do you say, I guess the more pole dancing, what people see pole dancing being exotic, but I guess from us it was more from a sports perspective.
Okay, Nilsa?
Thank you for coming and explaining. Several concerns. I saw it written on a board, and it wasn't written as pole fitness. None of the explanation was put pole dance. And I had several people, you're in a residential building, right? And so I had several people from the community ask me what's happening in your establishment. I don't know what's happening in your establishment because I don't go in your establishment. But I will tell you that when I pass by and I see that, and then you have your, let's say your menu, like you have, let's say your wings and that written, and then you have pole dancing at the end, very small. It looks like you're trying to hide something. And if you didn't check this box off in your application, then a decision wasn't made on your application based on your future plans, or even going back to amend your application to find out if you could even do that at that location, right? And so that's why I'm glad that you're here, because I have my concerns, and my concerns are my concerns. But I wanted you to know that I and several members of the community came to me, and that's why you're here.
Thank you. No, thank you for that. Yes. So I did see.
No, I don't have a problem saying it.
I did see the writing on the board, and which is why I had to educate also my staff in regards to changing that. I don't know if you noticed that the writing was changed later on to competitive pole.
No, I didn't, and now I noticed that it's not even outside, right? So where you had your menus, because I pass by every day because I work on 120th Street, I don't even see that anymore. And so then the question becomes, is something going on that now, because they were called in, they're not putting down what they're doing? Do you see what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, I took everything
That's
off
right.
because once I heard any type of complaint with the community, but I said let me just remove everything so I can make sure, before I do anything, you guys see where my perspective is coming from. Because I've actually gone through a lot of scrutiny because a lot of people are like, hey, we're here, you have pole dancing. I'm like, no, come in and see. This is a showcase. We have women, we also have men, but at the same time, it's just all about upper body strength. And it's something I've been doing for a couple of years myself. I never, when I first started my business with Skybox, I didn't think about bringing that there. It was when I went to school with B2P that I said, oh wow, I really did not know it was a sport. So then that's when I'm like, okay, maybe I can have a lot with the community as well. So that's one of the things that I wanted to change the stigma of how women are being seen on a pole, because I myself, I go on a pole and I never, it's
Well, for some
nothing
people, it
exotic.
reinforces stigma, and for some people, you're trying to educate. However, when I have people that have kids in the community and residents, and they actually come to me as a former chair, I will bring that to the current chair's attention, because we're a community, right? And so we need to understand if this is a mechanism to make sure that the business is successful, because there's a lot of things that are happening in this community that people are doing just because they can do it and not let know, and then are found out by serendipity, right? Like, people don't come here and tell us what we're doing. And so whenever I find something that is a little bit off, that's, I will always investigate whether I'm part of the community board or not, because I've been here 65 years. And so I'm not ashamed of my age, and I look every bit of it. But I want to make sure that people who are that are living on that block, right, feel that the right kind of attention is on that block, because the community, East Harlem, deserves the best, right? And that there are not people that are coming in and gravitating to that business thinking that one thing is going on, that maybe you're meaning another, and of bringing out, I won't want to use undesirables because I remember that, but of bringing people to that block that then don't leave, and people that live on that block are having issues.
No, I
So thank
completely-
you for being here.
Of course, I completely agree because I'm 35. That's, my father's the owner of the building. I've been there, since I was in my mom's stomach. So I know how the community is. I know what happens behind the scenes. I know all of that. So that's why to me, I see the stigma. So I just wanted to introduce something that was very different. I kind of wish you would have came in maybe to see one of the showcase during your investigation so you could see that it was different from, it's different from exotic dancing.
It's not, and this is the last comment I'm gonna say. It's not about the stigma. It's about the impression of the stigma. If you tell me, no, son, I'm gonna teach you pole dancing, I'm gonna say, first of all, my body don't bend that way. But if it happened to bend that way, and you say, I wanna show some, that's fine. But when you're actually tossing bills to someone, even if it's acceptable, it looks sleazy. No matter what the sport entails. So that has to be clear and educated before you bring it, so that everybody's on the same page, understanding what you're trying to educate. Because if I look at a clip and I see people being thrown dollars, my mind is gonna go elsewhere. You see what I mean? As opposed to what you're trying to do positively, because you're trying to show it the different way, like, oh, that's okay, and that's acceptable because this was, but I don't know what's acceptable. If I walk in your club and I see someone pole dancing and I see money thrown at them, my mind is gonna say,
Yeah.
that's it.
And that's why I guess I would love, maybe if also you guys could see, also follow P2P and also see that during their showcases, singles are thrown. Not only theirs, a lot of also pole schools, they do that during their showcases.
But that's not there's a setting for these things, right? So that's done in a setting, where maybe only people who are doing that have access, right? Your establishment, I'm assuming, is open to children, right?
Yes, before.
And I don't believe this is an enclosed area. So I'm assuming, and I don't know, I don't think there are laws for that or anything, but you can't compare a restaurant that's serving alcohol and has a liquor license to a class. And I don't expect you to necessarily know these things. I'm just trying to explain to you the difference. So you don't think, oh, well, they're, it'd be no, I just want you to understand that would be the nuance there. All right, so I don't want to take too much time, and I'll kind of figure out if there's anything we want to do. So I'm gonna go Sage, Jason, Asher, and Kyoka, and Xavier. Yeah, okay, we'll do those five. No, those five, and then we're gonna see if there's anything. So go ahead, Sage.
Can you just explain why you started and then you stopped? Why no men at these showcases?
So we started to have men, but then the customers felt like, hey, it's too much for East Harlem right now. Why don't we do a day for the LGBT community? We wanted to do that, it's kind of like, I guess, just easing it on to the community we were trying to do.
What is too much about men doing this?
That's what I want to know, but it was just a community survey. It was just like someone, like in the survey for the bar. That's what I want to know. I'm open to any, because we did contact some male there are male from the P2P also school and other schools. I think the male are terrific.
Yeah, so I'll just say the reason I ask is because, and I think it's great that you tried to involve men. I've never done that. I'm not trying to make a pitch for myself. But it makes me think that some people are going to this thing for a sexual reason, rather than for an athletic reason. And then they're like, oh, we like when women pole dance. We don't want men pole dancing. And that seems a little bit fishier. And kind of undercuts the theory that this is not sexual or exotic in any way.
So we only done about 3 or 4 showcases, to be honest. So it's something that's new, and it's something that from the beginning it's been a stigma that we have to constantly tell people these are not strippers. We respect them. This is an art. These ladies actually are very athletic. There's a lot of things that they do that we can't. That most people can't do. So the same thing we're coming in when it's speaking about men. I thought the same thing. Men are, you see men doing flagpoles all over Jeff. So to me, it's just mostly like, okay, let's do that, but for some reason, I don't know what is the stigma again in East Harlem, it's like watching men, and to me, it's like, no, I actually was working on dedicating a whole thing for just male dancers, but, until this happened, so then I just said, okay, let me just stop, because I don't want to do anything wrong, it's something that I love. It's a sport that I love, and it changed my mentality, it changed my body. So it's something that I just wanted to bring into the community and change that stigma of like, if you see someone dancing on a pole or doing anything on a pole, it doesn't mean they're gonna, something seductive. It's not something they're gonna mislead.
I think, I'm gonna go to Jason. I just think the throwing the singles part, and then, I guess competitive, is there someone judging these things? Is
Well,
somebody
the
winning?
That's what the signals is for.
That's like.
I mean, then
the
that's,
audience.
if you told me you had like 2 judges there giving them score out of 10, I might believe the competitive part. If they're throwing money and they're doing this and there's singles all over the floor. I've only seen that at strip clubs. I mean, and they're not stripping. I will tell you that they've all been wearing clothes from what I've seen, but the illusion of it. Jason?
And to be clear, I guess it's transparency, right? Because stripping is not far removed from go-go dancing, which is dancing provocatively in the interest of service. So I guess my question is for SLA, right? I'm not an expert. I'm assuming the committee reviewed this, or I didn't get to look at it. The question I guess I have is, are you serving alcohol at these events?
We serve alcohol until 4 a.m.
Okay. And so does SLA know that? Does the governing body that define all these regulations, are they aware that you're having pole dancing or pole fitness? Because I'm familiar too with like yoga, so you got Pilates, and I understand there's different art forms, but it's being clear and concise, because like what they brought up is, our concern is, the safety and the welfare of the public, particularly youth.
Of course. And that's something that now that, after being called out by the community board, my attorney and I, is something that we're working on. So I guess we're having this meeting more just to see if we wanted to go down that road of introducing that competitive culture. But then, like my father said, it's just too much. So we doesn't want me to do it now. So it's kind of like we're just here to see what's needed. Again, I just introduced it because to me, I saw it was a sport. It's something that, I see. I've been to a couple of showcases, and throwing singles and things like that. Everything, you look online, they're all normal. So a lot of things I was doing is just introducing it from a different perspective, and it's really unfortunate, sometimes it's just like, again, it's like being on a pole is being seen as, something negative, and I wasn't trying to do that.
So I have a follow-up, and my concern is in the art of expression. My word is the science, right? And is your space, is it occupied usefully? Is it correctly being used? Is it structurally sound for these human beings to be discharging weight on this property? There's a lot of questions that come necessarily, like if you look at a gym, or if you look at a different space, that there tend to be a little bit more structurally sound to handle those things. And I don't know if that's been, transpired by you as an establishment to the regulatory agencies. And it sounds like no, it hasn't been. And I then think then you would have to look at, it's your business, so you would have to look at different marketing strategies of how to clearly define, okay, I'm having this event, I'm doing this at this time for this venue, and if I'm having this, and more importantly, ensuring that everybody's safe, because it's not just your patrons and word of mouth, right? It's the public, right? We had a building in the Bronx that just dropped. We had a building on 116th that blew up, right, because of gas. It's because the space is being misused and mishandled that allow then the other concerns for why this person was in this particular situation. And for us as a community board and concerned with our constituents, we have to express that to you.
Yes, whatever we do, we have our inspectors come in, every couple of months, yearly. We have our contractors, so whatever it is that we do, we have people who are licensed and so forth. So it's not like I do it myself, and things like that. No, everything, is secure and safe for the public, for my staff, for everyone. Again, it was just it's the pole, we had set it up in the back just to clear the table. It just was more of a, again, a showcase. But everything, again, my contractors, everyone is licensed, everyone is good to go.
Before I go to Asher, one question, because I want to clarify something. What time do you stop selling alcohol?
4 a.m.
You are
But we're
aware?
closed at 2.
Wait,
I believe the license says for 4 a.m., but we're closed at 2.
you
We're
call,
closed at 2 Fridays and Saturdays. And we're closed at 12.
okay, I just want, because that's when you told the board, those were the, okay, so
Those are
then,
our operational.
got you.
I know
Okay.
that the liquor license has to be-
no, because I wanted to make sure good that you clarified that, so thank you. Asher, then, Keoka, and then Xavier.
All right, I have
And
two
then you're the chair.
concerns dash questions because I just need to understand this a little better. I'm looking on the map, I looked up the address. You are literally surrounded by a whole bunch of schools. Like there is multiple schools. I'm looking 2 blocks west is PS 57. A block east is Manhattan Center and Harlem Storefront Academy Harlem. Dream is around the corner. And I'm looking at also your hours of operation start at 3. What time exactly is this whole fitness happening?
From 11 to 1.
From 11 to 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
11 to 1.
All right. And this, I'm not sure who to ask this question to. If they were to continue having this, is there like a special license they have to apply?
I'm gonna be honest with you, we can ask all the questions we want, and Angel, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you legally can have exotic dancing.
Yeah, I also.
I don't think
it's
you're
that-
zoned for it.
I think also with the exotic dancing, I don't see how that could, even with
You
the
gotta make
operating
sure.
hours, be allowed within that distance to a school. I'm just like, I brought it up on the map, it's
So
pretty
quick
much.
question, is competitive
surrounded.
pole fitness the same as exotic?
Pole dancing, according to SLA, is considered exotic dancing. They have that as, it's, here, actually, just, we can go to Keoka, and then, but I'll pull it up, because what?
Are you gonna put it up in there or?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I can do that, but it's not anything. It's, if you go to the on premises liquor license application from the SLA, I'll find it, let me search. Exotic dancing.
'Cause when I had-
If dancing is permitted, will there be exotic dancing, including but not limited to topless entertainment, pole dancing, and or lap dancing? So pole dancing is one of the 3 categories of exotic dancing according to SLA. And as far as I'm aware, I'm not an expert on this, so I can't say definitively, but I'm pretty sure you cannot legally do it there. I think it has to be in a commercial or manufacturing district. That is a residential, with commercial overlay. I'm like, say 90% sure that even if we wanted to tell you you could do it, you can't legally do it. And if you didn't tell the SLA that you were doing this, then that's I don't know how happy they would be for you to go retroactively and ask them, even if you could, but I can't speak for them. I just say, this didn't get disclosed to anyone. Now, maybe you didn't realize it was exotic dancing, and I can understand that, but it's just the way the facts are going. So I don't want to say definitively, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be legal there. Keoka, Xavier?
Mine's gonna be quick because I don't wanna like reiterate anyone else's point. I think what I've heard you try to do is differentiate the difference between the sport and the dancing. I think, what I sit here and wonder is if you are still interested in presenting that to the community, then why not use the space that you said is around the corner? Because once it's in a bar, right? So let's just be very cognizant of what we're talking about. It's in a bar, there's alcohol being served, the type of clientele that comes in, not that you can control that, right? Because those are your customers, may not get this explanation. So what they're seeing is what we're seeing. So it is still, I get it, right? I've done a pole dancing class. Well, it wasn't pole dancing, it was a sport. I get it, right? But when it's in a certain, I guess what, all of us here are trying to make sure that it's clear is that we get it. That's your sport. It tones up your body. People can't do that. I get it. But once it's in a bar, once you can't control the type of people that are coming into the establishment, once there's alcohol being served and once there's money being thrown, I really believe that it changes the dynamic of what you're trying to say. Maybe you're doing it for the most positive reason ever, but it might not look that way to Jane Doe down the street. It's just her coming into an establishment where this type of dancing is happening. So I think, I would love if you had a space where you can do it at. I would love to help you, like, put it out in the community because it is a square. But I think it's just the wrong place, if that's fair.
No, yeah, I understand.
I don't know that. So, I'm Xavier Santiago. I am the former chair. I served for 4 years. Prior to that, Nilso Obama was our chair for 4 years, and I was the vice chair. So, and then Dem is our new chair. There's a lot of institutional knowledge here, and he's asked me to come back as the chair of economic development and culture. We do care about our businesses. Don't get it wrong in any way, shape, or form. We do care very much about our businesses. We lost within the first 2 months of COVID, like it was over 45 of them immediately because they couldn't apply for PPP. Acutely aware as a small business owner myself. So I think from where we're looking at is we as a board and as a community have been either burnt or directly lied to when they altered their business model. Lighthouse Fish Market, that happened during the pandemic, and they literally did a wraparound. And we just saw the floor plans because we were hybrid. I think we were actually virtual and then hybrid. And it turned out they opened a lounge with upstairs stripping, and they had the big square blocks with the poles, and walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. But we had people come in and complain about that. We had over here, which was in the press, Bodega Paradise. The community is highly sensitized to exotic dancing. And I know what you said. Someone I went to school with, who's an athlete who does pole dancing and down in Australia. Respect, the musculature that you need to develop to do it. However, there is, and I think what the others have said is that the slippery slope is when the optics are money's been thrown on the floor, which is clearly associated with those other activities. And so what that does is it causes the community to be concerned. And as Asher has pointed out, that we have so many schools, we are a community. And again, even on 116th Street corridor here, it's still a residential. It just has storefronts. And so I think that's, so if there's a way, he's going to pull up the information here, but I think we, again, and we appreciate you coming in. Others could have said, we're not going to do it. So you're building a relationship with us, and the hopes is that, any way that we find a pathway through is what I would recommend. But those are my comments in general, and I'm pleased to come by the establishment and take a look. I support a lot of the local businesses here, so thank you.
Can I
Yield
just
back the
follow
floor
up
to
statement? Sorry, Xavier, because you just made something resonate. I think also the way it's advertised makes a big difference as well, right? So I didn't see the front of the establishment, but I did see one of your employees online put it out there. And what you're saying versus what she advertised was not at all the same thing. And so that also brings it into that light as well, because that matters. Social media is the head of the world right now, unfortunately. So the way she advertised it was totally different than what you're saying. And then, maybe it was like, what do you call those pictures, like stock pictures online that she might have used, because it didn't look like anyone from the community that I saw, but the way it was advertised was as if it was a stripper night.
Emery?
Hello. Thank you for being here. And I just have a few questions and then I guess advice. So I'm the chair of the License and Permit Committee, and my name is Anne-Marie. So the question is, are you the only owner or do you have a partner? So you're the only owner? Yeah. And I ask this because I've been here before and someone else told me they were the owner with a sister.
My sister.
Okay, so your sister's, okay,
So it's basically a family business.
but you're the owner, it's under your name, okay. So that's possible, I thought I was a partner, because I remember going in there and it's the sister. All right, and then the other question these events, do they help you, your business in terms of financial or more customers? Was this profitable, these events that you had?
It was, to me, it's actually like the same thing. Again, we only did it like 3 times. The first time, no one showed up because we're also a new bar. The second time we had more people, but it was anything we make, it's usually just went to the girls. Yes.
Okay. So I'm not against, this is a great idea, bringing this to the community. I think the marketing and the message kind of backfired. Because again, it looks like something else is going on. And I know you want to show the community, but maybe if you would have done like, hey, come and learn about pole dancing, the art, and maybe learn how to get on it or something. I think that would have been more acceptable.
We were scared about doing that because they have, I guess, with the waivers and things like that. I wanted to have girls that actually went to school rather than have someone come on the phone and get hurt.
Okay, I see that, but if that person, a professional was there teaching, or I don't know, it's just the way you do things, right? Again, nothing against those things, because if you have to make money, you have to make money, but it's how you do it. Teaching it, or even if you wanna, market for the school, hey, you wanna learn, there's a school right down the block, but look at it, this is how it is.
I agree. On Mondays, days that were closed, we had the poll there, like we started doing an advertisement, so in that case, girls could come and learn and practice. So that's one thing that we were doing for Mondays as well, aside from our podcast on Mondays that we're doing.
Because when you add, alcohol, things change. People's behaviors change, rather, and you don't know who's coming into your establishment. And the last thing I want to say is just some advice. When you come up with these ideas that are great, come to the board, let us know, hey, I'm thinking about doing this because this will be profitable, or I want to teach the community. Let us know, and then we can advise you. Because again, it wasn't on your application, and if you would have checked off, we're gonna have all these events, then it's different than you didn't check nothing off, and now we're finding out about this. And this community here, everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
And the stuff that was going on in your place, I heard that we were talking about it at other restaurants in the neighborhood. So it's spreading, and people talking, social media. So if you come to us, hey, I'm trying to have this, what do you think? Is that acceptable? Do I have to change my application? Then you would not be here telling us what's going on, and, you know.
No, I appreciate that, and now that I know that I'm definitely gonna come here, this is something new.
No,
So even the idea, I never thought of bringing the idea here until just going on in between going into my classes and then learning about it to sport. I was like, oh hey, why not introduce it and change that?
just because it looks like you're lying to us. When you do the application,
Yeah.
no, I'm not having an event, and so you know your juice bar selling liquor. Or stripper place or whatever.
We can't do it anyway.
All right.
Okay.
So the zoning thing is tricky because according to zoning, I'm not saying, could be wrong now, again, 40%, but the city zoning said like 40% of a establishment has to be devoted to,
They are C1,
they are C1.
they're C15. So they
The,
could.
the problem is, and Angel's reading this, am I wrong on that?
No, you're not wrong, but it's two different things you're citing, so that's the.
Right, I'm going to, yeah. And then the thing that, and correct me if I'm wrong, let's put the zoning aside. They're not identifying what type of establishment this was when you did this. That's the problem. That's the rule that was definitely broken. Look, I don't think we have to take an action item here, but I guess I don't want to go into this much longer. They're here. I think you're open ears, right? You've said that you would take it out if that's what we ask. What do you guys want?
Chair, I have a few recommendations. We can send it back to committee, so that way she can work with the committee to make.
This wasn't, we could do that. This wasn't at committee. Because they
don't
don't,
have to take an action, right? Do we have? to?
no, we don't have to take an action. What I meant is like, this wasn't like, they didn't go for their license. Nilsa says now she saw it. And so we brought them in here. It wasn't right. Now, we could send them there, but it will just, I think, be going in a circle. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you, if it's my opinion, just as a member, take the poll out. You know, I know it's hard to do business in this neighborhood, I understand the need to be creative and this and that. We're gonna try our best to support people, but that's my opinion. That's my sentiment. Rosa,
Nelson Winfrey.
No, you could go.
sorry.
Yeah, so, I'm hearing what everyone is saying, right, and I've been to Skybox a lot of times with my son. And Marie just asked you if it makes a difference, like income-wise, right? You said none at all. So you don't have the license for it, then just get rid of it. And probably in the future, put it sports, every single flyer, advertise or whatever, sports, and just, I guess, on that specific day, close it down. After, obviously, you apply, and if you're, whatever requirements are needed, or other than that, you really cannot continue because you're, not supposed to, and it
Maybe you
doesn't,
didn't
it
tell the
doesn't-
SLA.
yeah, and it doesn't bring you any income anyway, so it's not making a difference to your establishment. So that would be my recommendation.
I agree. As soon as you guys emailed me, I took everything down, the poll, the post, everything,
The poll is out?
Yeah,
Oh, it
everything
is?
is, yeah, because it's a removable.
And you see, I told you.
Oh,
So,
oh, okay.
What do you mean by closing?
All right, so let me ask you this.
The whole thing.
Are you willing to not do it?
yeah.
Okay. Is there really any more discussion to have here then?
Idea.
I don't know about the zoning, all that. What I would say is if you stop doing it, I'm not gonna give you any advice. I would talk to your attorney, look at your forms, what you told the SLA. I think if you take it out, as far as this board's concerned, we're good. And we're here to support you. Well, go ahead, Jewel.
Well, so just for, compliance purposes and documentation purposes, I'm saying, I'm for, you were verbally saying something, but I think something should be in writing, and then someone should make sure they go there, get a picture, and verify that it's no longer there. I'm not about verbal things, I need something in
I'll go
writing
to that.
indicating that this happened.
Well, you're 100% right, but because we now have everything recorded,
Okay.
this is an oral
Okay.
agreement as well. But I'm a fan of it, right? Because who's gonna go watch a video and try to find it? If you would be willing to, could you submit a letter to the board, like email it to where you say your license, just saying that you've removed this, and you will not be, continuing with that, and that, moving forward, not for this, anytime you want to change a method of operation, just come to us. And listen, we'll be reasonable, but we are here to be supportive of you. We don't want you to not succeed and do well.
Can I just say something?
Okay, I'm gonna go Anne Marie and Nilsa, and then we're going to wrap this.
But I don't wanna shut it down, so you could maybe market the people across the street, hey, this is a great sport, but this place teaches it, so maybe you wanna continue.
To at least to promote the school.
Yes,
Yeah,
right,
no,
right.
no, that's fine.
Cause it's a good thing,
Yeah,
it's nice,
I-
I like it, it's just promote them then. Hey, they have this going on across the street, you wanna learn about it.
Okay, Nilsa?
Okay. I think that as a business owner, it can be difficult in these times to do something. So while our chair is saying, if you come up with an idea, come here first. I would recommend that you look at your application so that you see the different things that are there, so that if you get an idea, you can also find out how easy it would be to implement, right? Because this seemed a sport, right? When I saw it, it was advertised as pole dancing. That's what was written, right? And then you've come and you've explained. Then the board, once you have your idea and you see your application, that might be an easy change. Then the board and Marie, they can advise how best to go about it. Because it may be something that you can do that your attorney doesn't have, you don't have to implement a cost, because it's something that is easy to do. So this is not to say you shouldn't have ideas. I can't even say that it was a bad idea. I'm talking from the perspective of the people that came to me and what I saw, right? That may not have been a bad idea what you were doing, but you have other ideas. Check your application, because whatever you checked off, you might find that you're able to do that idea within that thing. And then it's only if you have to try something different, then you can come in and for advice.
All right, I'm not gonna take any more of your night up, I'm gonna just wrap this on two things. The email, Marlene, that you sent it, please send that letter to her by Monday, if you do it. It's just a brief letter saying that you are not gonna continue with the pole dancing, that it is stopped. And, if it pleases your committee, if you'd be willing, if you wanted to, in the next week or so, to go, if you'd let them do a tour of the place and just let them see everything.
Of course,
I think-
please come.
Okay, all right, so then we really appreciate you coming here. We look forward to the letter and we look forward to, continue to work with you and, we're here to support our small businesses, all right?
Thank you. And I'm
you.
sorry, just in case, I know. And my father kept telling me, he was like, Janice, I'm like, okay, mom. So,
It's okay.
We live in our-
thank you.
You came here,
Yeah.
we can, thank you.
But I definitely like the fact that you're coming up with things, different things for the community. I like that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I love my community. I just want to change the negative impact it has, because my son is growing up in this community, my nieces, it's just our family. So it's like, I want to make sure everything is fine, So my uncle was murdered by a 13-year-old in his community, in Baltimore. That changed my life. So I don't want that for no one else. So that's the point of my sports bar. It should just give like a positive, good atmosphere. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
guys.
Have a good night. Thank you. All right, we're gonna try to move through everything else quickly. St. Francis Friends of the Poor. They had come to housing in September. They're looking to build a supportive housing on 118th Street and 3rd Avenue. It's gonna be affordable housing with supportive housing. The presentation is on the board website. If you go to the meetings history and go to September housing meeting, the presentation is there. Long story short, if we all remember, they came to housing. We had a lot of residents that were upset about it. Our city council person at the time, Diana Ayala, came to our full board meeting, said she was not in support of this. They don't need a land use action, right? So they came to housing kind of, I give it to them to be open or whatever. My issue is kind of like when we said things back, they kind of said, well, this is what we're doing. So I'm like, well, then what conversation are you having? Like, that's not really a conversation. You came to tell me, I appreciate it. But with that said, they're going to go get the funding the way they can, right? I guess de Blasio made 1515 with HRA to fund supportive housing for very specific groups. And a lot of it caters towards single adults or, that are with substance abuse or mental health illness. I wanted to get all the chairs here, human services, everything, because this isn't just a housing thing. This is a human services thing. There's a stigma, I think, to supportive housing, at least in my opinion. The ones over here, Prospero Hall, Schaefer Hall, I don't see the what a lot of people are saying they're seeing. I see a lot worse things on blocks with no supportive housing. The flip side to that is, could we ask for different supportive housing? And that's been my thing. Childhood homelessness in New York City is, I think, at an all-time high, and is expected in this public school system, and is expected at the all-time high. We are higher than the average. So I was pushing for there to be, and we put in our budget request, some way to the supportive housing to be built for more families. And I'll go to Asher, and I'll just say, they're willing to do a walkthrough with us. They're willing now to come back and meet. They have bought the property. They don't need a land use action, but they're going to need funding. We got to figure out, not to stop them, but I think to engage them meaningfully, what leverage we may have to bring them to the table and at least have a real conversation. That's just my opinion. I'll go Asher and Keoka.
I have a few thoughts on this. Something that comes up when I speak to different schools, and even in the school that I work in, is there is a lot of kids who are in like studios where like 6, 7, like a lot of siblings. There's a lot of them in there. I've seen students who who have to share a bed with their parents because there's not enough space, and the parents have like 5 roommates. Like it's a problem. I think if we're doing supportive housing, I think there really should be more and good supportive housing, like with space for these families, because it's a lot to not sleep at night, like at like 7, 8 years old, because your parents' roommates are being loud, or there's like 5 siblings in one room, and there's the baby and the like 14-year-old. How's the 14-year-old supposed to get up on time to go to school? There's a crying baby all night in the same room.
I think we have the wrong definition of what supportive housing is.
Yes,
That's how it is. So I'm a program director at a supportive housing building. I service young people 18 to 26 years old, and I think we ask the wrong questions. I don't think it's necessary. Like, I think, when we talk about supportive housing, the common supportive housing that we look into are the ones on 118th Street. But are we asking the correct questions? The correct question should be, how is the building going to be managed, right? What service provider are they using to manage the building? The problem with the buildings on 118th Street is that they're called light touch buildings. They are master lease apartments. And so what tends to happen is that the staff on site do not manage the outside of the building. So with my building, I am responsible for my young people in and out of the building. Once they leave out of Lantern, which is on 118th Street, they have no control. The people do not come out of the facility to manage what they're doing outside. There might be some great staff members that might come out. I think we're asking the wrong questions. So we're talking about 1515 housing, that is very specific to certain criteria in caps. So they have to come through HRA. They are in a system, and they are referrals that come through a specific portal. And so they have to be eligible for certain POPs. So like mine is New York 3 POP with a mental health concern, and they have to be a certain age. Now, the questions that we need to ask are, what's the POP that they're taking in? What program is their overseer, and how are they going to manage the building as far as staff is concerned? Because if I consider my building a scatter site and I have 2 people on site, that's not enough to manage a building with 30 apartments, right? There's no way that I can do that. Are they going to have case management on site? Is there going to be a psychiatrist on site? Is there case staff on site? Those are the questions that we should be asking, because that type of building looks different than saying there's one case manager on site and then I send them to another program for services.
Sorry, then let me say something else since I haven't had done. Thank you for the clarification. I wasn't aware like supportive housing was. I thought it meant like I was thinking supportive housing also like for people who were formerly homeless, like families and stuff like that.
That could be supportive housing.
Okay, that's what I was more referring to than necessarily like that, but also there's a lot of like, are we also thinking of the like homeless youth population who are within the system also? Like we see the California Center, they were building a building on 106th Street. I don't know what's going on with that, but stuff like that also.
I'll go to Jason, then I'll say something.
I've been overseeing the challenge with this argument from the community for a long time, and the reality is, and I love what you said, is just there's a lot of education that needs to happen. There's nothing but miscommunication. We ask those questions. We're very adamant in requesting that information, and we get those answers. Unfortunately, constituents in the district do not like the answers that we're getting as to why or how we're selected for the housing. For this particular project, as you stated, it's not in land uses purview, so it's under housing. The district's #1 outcry since I've been on this board for over 10 years is housing. It's a constant, it's our #1 issue. And the question, there's a lot of questions that come as to how do we get a part of that planning process? How do we work with these organizations that are within our district that provide these services to be great, to help our people? These are still our people. So I don't know what we're gonna try to come to terms. I know there's been moratoriums, there's an argument of oversaturation, there's the opposing argument that there's not enough housing. I do think that it's gonna take time and effort, but more importantly, education. So then that way, just like, I'm sorry, you said Keoka, right? Keoka, like what she shared today, that's monumental information, right? I've sat in thousands of presentations and I've never heard it quantified in the way that you presented today. That being said, I don't think that's something that our constituents are gonna want to understand. They hear supportive housing, single residents, they think ex-addicts, they think the worst. Unfortunately, at the same time, the district is concerned that there is an oversaturation of social services, which is preventing the economic development for our youth and for our, I guess you'd call middle to high class constituents. So it's a big challenge, it's a big conversation. I don't know necessarily we're gonna come to a consensus today, but it's something that needs to just keep being reviewed, no different than it was about the oversaturation of the drug programming in the area.
Let me just say a few things, and I'll go Milsa Xavier. They came to housing, everything you're saying is right. The former Human Services Chair asked me to connect him with them, and I did. They were not able to get a meeting scheduled, but that's because then they said they were busy. The whole idea was to get a meeting to bring in that component. Ultimately, what housing was looking at was just, is this a population that we want served, or are we looking for somebody to come here and build something to serve a different population? And it could have been families that had a household with substance abuse or mental health illness, or let's be honest, it could be preventative. Families in the shelter system are at a much heightened risk for developing mental health issues or substance abuse issues. As to saturation, we don't know the answer. We had HPD at land use, and Angel said, give us the numbers, right? Tell us so we know we're wrong or if we're right. And the longer they don't give us those numbers, the worse we're gonna, not us, but people are gonna think. They're supposed to come to housing with some information. St. Francis is running the program. I don't know the details, but I think they are the founders of supportive housing. They have some downtown. They're willing to have us on a walkthrough, which I think we should do. The reason for this was I want to bring them back here, but I want it to be kind of a organized conversation. As far as what you're saying, Jason, I don't know, right? I don't know what we really want here. And I think about the stigma part is there is a very specific view on what supportive housing is, and it's not all of that. And even what they think it is not as bad as they think it is. And the moratorium, I don't think we've ever had a moratorium on supportive housing, and I don't think this board would plan on that. The consideration for a moratorium back on the treatment facilities is going to be talked about at Human Services. That expired without really, I don't think, much of a discussion. I'm not telling anybody to decide, but I think it is worth a conversation again to see how this board feels on that subject since we've kind of gotten that together. This wasn't meant to get consensus. I guess I'll go Nilsson Xavier, and then I just want the sentiment of, would you guys like them to come to our next executive meeting? I guess I think it would be a good place for them to come. And I think we can just ask a lot of the questions and
Can we
stuff.
develop questions before they get here? Because I think.
Yeah, of course.
I think, part, and I agree, I don't think that people are educated on some of the things that they need to be. And that's why, I bring people to tour my building all the time. Like, you guys were there for the what do you call it?
The candidates.
Yeah, that thing. And, I would love to be able to host, someone else to come in, tour the building, see the things that we do, see some of the workshops. I think part of the problem is that I don't know St. Francis, but if they know the models, I think some of it is challenging them to recognize what we've dealt with in the community and making sure that they put in the services in place that would redirect people hanging out outside or having bad things happen in and around the perimeter of the building. Those are the challenges that we have. It's probably not the program itself and probably not the building itself, but what's going on outside is probably what we deal with the most. And how do we do that? We make sure that there are services on the inside that deters people from being outside for so long, so that they don't have to go to 125th Street for their services. They don't have to, one of the things that I'm about to implement is having an HRA person on site so that my people don't have to go to 126th Street. It prevents them from being mischievous, and if that makes any sense. So just making, having the questions prepared of what we want to know that's going to be impactful to our community, I think is necessary before they come.
I think that's a great idea. If you want to think of any questions and we can talk about them, you guys can send them to me. If you want, I'll organize them. I can read them out when they come, or we can assign everyone a question and kind of ask that way. I think I'll go to Nilsson Xavier, and then and then Jewel, and then we'll finalize this and move to our next item.
So I want to thank you, Kyoka, because I understand about supportive housing as well. Some of our affiliates deal with supportive housing, and not many people know the nuances. And so it's not only just the questions, it's about educating the board to understand what supportive housing is. Because I hear a lot, even among our board, where it seems like we're taking sides against supportive housing or for supportive housing, or some people, it seems like, don't want supportive housing in their neighborhood, and some want, and it just makes us look divided. So I think that the board first has to educate itself on what the classifications of supportive housing are and the different funding, because usually when someone comes with a project to a board, they already have an idea of what their funding is, what their buckets are, and who they're going to be working with. And so sometimes it doesn't give you a lot of wiggle room to change. And then we have providers who, like the Fortune Society, who have come and done certain housing and make sure that there are certain things on the outside, like security and things like that, so you don't have the issues that normally happen and congregate. And I agree that we must hold the developers and the person who's actually running the programs accountable, because what I have found, without naming names, is that sometimes supportive housing is developed and they come to the board and they give you all this great presentation about all the things they're going to do and all the workshops they're going to do, and they forget that some of the populations have specific issues that have to be reinforced over and over and over, and we're going to have security 24 hours and we're going to do this. And then as they entrenched in the community and the years pass, all of a sudden workshops don't happen and security is not at the front, and different things happen where let's say if the security is not there and people are trying to create a good life, and all of a sudden they don't have the case management support, and then you have to struggle, and you have one property manager for 450 apartments that has no kind of training, right? And so I would be I think that one of the ways that you can help, besides the kind of questions we should ask, is the definitions that people should know, and especially in housing, right? Because we have to know the right questions, and we have to realize that this is our community. And it doesn't matter that you can say 15% of people come from a different community. When they're here, they're part of our community, right? And so to continue this argument of oversaturation without having the facts, right? Like having real numbers, there's ways to get that information, but you have to see so many different funding agencies and different regulatory agencies just to try to get a number, because HPD is not going to tell us a thing.
So for supportive housing, we should be contacting NYSHIP. So NYSHIP is the overseer for all supportive housing in New York City and New York State. So maybe we can find someone from there to kind of give us information about what's happening here in East Harlem.
It's a great idea.
Xavier?
Go ahead, Joel.
Oh, okay, Jewel.
So as the chair of human services, one of the first things I agree with you in terms of having them come. And I agree that we should have like questions prepared. And as for the actual entity itself, yeah, they've been around for quite some time, decades. I'm looking at the webpage right now. So, just make sure we tailor the questions as it relates to the East Harlem community and our concerns. And it's important in terms of making sure that the community is informed as to what supportive housing is, et cetera, et cetera. But the main thing is like to get them at the table. So did you say earlier that they?
No, they came.
Okay.
They volunteered to come.
Okay.
They
Okay.
came, they were very nice, and they were saying spring, and then they came back and said, we'll meet sooner. I just thought it'd be good for us to talk first, and then, so I'm gonna see if they'll come to our executive, and then maybe when they come there, we try to set up a walkthrough, and we're all in the same room, to figure out what works for us. So we'll go Xavier, and then Jason, and then I think, we kind of have a plan, so.
Yeah, I think we could just easily put all of the questions into a doc into the executive committee folder. It would be easy for us to all just have them.
Good idea.
Little bit of perspective on this with the supportive housing. The city did start pushing the 1515 program. We did push, during Nilsa's time and mine with HPD, with DOH, MH, all of the city agencies to get them to provide us just general data and in areas within the district. And they claimed that it would be a violation of privacy and we can't disclose. It was deeply frustrating despite the attempts of COILs and whatnot. They did not want to disclose one iota of information, but what we have seen, and again, not that I'm against supportive housing, I've voted many times for it, but in the same sense, it's the diversification. When I took a hiatus from the board while living away, I sent reports from meetings I had with other city officials in London where they did a diversification of their housing portfolio, whether it was public housing, supportive housing, reentry programs. And what they found is that when they peppered it out throughout the entire borough within the city of London, so you have Chelsea and Kensington, which is the most equivalent to Manhattan, when they peppered it out throughout the entire borough, they saw a decrease in all the negative elements that are typically associated with those sectors. Not saying that's always the case, but again, whenever you concentrate anything, it becomes a self-perpetuating machine. This is just society's reality and how we've evolved. That being said, I think, having them come in and provide questions as of right, purchase, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is, as I've shared with many of you previously, you have to know when to massage something, when to muscle something, when to cudgel something. We're literally just having to work with them and say, please listen to our pleas and listen to everything. So I think this is a good opportunity to build that relationship so that we can foster the supportive housing that we may have a lack of in the neighborhood. So
I think they're willing to, they've come to the table and they'll come again, so I'm optimistic. Okay, all right, so I think we have a strategy. Kyoka, I don't want to volunteer you, but if you, at some point, maybe if you want to use your space, and we did some kind of like event or something to some kind of thing on supportive housing with Housing and Human Services to kind of, give information and stuff.
I like that. I was thinking when I heard Asher speak and Kyoto. I'm with Covenant House International. I'm on the board of directors, which that's our primary focus is ending youth homelessness. So I'd love to collaborate in having a conversation, figuring out how we can provide awareness, and then advocating for these agencies. Because what I'm hearing, it's not the CBOs. It's not the community-based organizations that we have a concern with. It's the administrative agencies and our elected officials. So I think that we need to be strategic this year with your new chairship in hitting those points and as chairs, following up to our respective disciplines. Example, given the HPDs with land use, I have no issue sending HPD an email or a letter every month and saying, hey, when we get these statistics, it'll help us in making our decisions moving forward.
I'm a believer and I do it myself. I will bang your door till you answer, so, and that's what we're here to do. I support all of you doing that. And if anybody has a problem with it, I have your back on that 100%. All right. So hopefully they can come. I'd love for them to come in person, but if they can come remotely, we'll do that. We just got to start talking. And so, all right, great. And then we'll get the questions. We'll set that up, and we can also, if anybody has questions in the meantime, we can talk about that as well. All right, D, some kind of saying a few things, and you guys got any questions? We sent out some emails, me and Jose, so I know it's been a little bit scattered. We're gonna work on the chair responsibility document to really kind of incorporate these in, but I also kind of wanted to tell you guys directly, and then, you know, the plan is to sit down with the chair of the committee and the vice chair together, with your liaison and us, and just kind of, you know, outline our expectations, and, you know, and our expectations are not anything new. It's a lot of stuff that we should be doing and we haven't, and I've been guilty of that myself. You know, and I think we haven't activated our vice chairs as much. A lot goes on the chairs, and then it's like, oh, the chair didn't get their minutes in, the chair didn't do this, you know, so vice chairs are gonna step up. I think they wanna step up. They're gonna be put in a position to step up. So just on a couple of points, well, and we're gonna find people, vice chairs, who don't have them yet. Yeah, we're gonna fill in we're working on that, and we'll support you in the meantime. And just a couple points, real quick. Minutes. Your vice chair is supposed to take them. You're running the meeting. I don't think a chair should be taking the minutes. They should go through the chair should review them and make sure before they go out. The chair can do them, but I want you to have your vice chair do them. If your vice chair is not there, I want you to delegate it to another member. A lot of new members saying that they want to learn the processes and stuff, and they can't. And I'm willing to talk to all of them. I've already had conversations with them. Angel, the staff, make the minutes very simple. It's essentially our agenda and then summarize each point. It's not complicated. And I don't see why with now the vice chair doing it, or use an example, you guys could also adopt this idea. You want to go around the table, alphabetical, this month it's you, that month it's you, we get everybody involved, but that's how I feel. Then there's no reason why this shouldn't be in 2 weeks after the meeting, always. That's one. Yeah.
What is the deadline date though?
So 2 weeks from the committee, your committee meeting.
Okay.
So if you had your meeting on the 7th, then by the 21st. And again, they don't have to be like essays. And here's the problem, and just be honest with you, the reason with the chairs having to do it was, I can't multitask. See, I'm gonna have to write these minutes, I'm gonna have to go back and watch on YouTube. But if I have my vice chair here today, he'd be taking notes, and essentially should be done before you did it, right? And it was essentially done before, you know, and that's how we used to be able to do it. On the other thing, resolutions and letters of support. I see this letter of acknowledgement thing. I'm not really sure what it even means. I mean, I do know what it means. I'm not sure why we're issuing them. If you come in here, we're like, okay, we heard you. I don't really know. It sounds like if somebody came and made an announcement about a fair they're having, we're like, okay, we heard you. I think it should be a letter of support, resolution, but I'm open to people think differently about those. That's just one comment. Another thing is, we can no longer have letters or and this was in the email. We cannot have committees. We have a 30-day review period. Somebody comes for a letter of support, we put a resolution on the table, or a proposal of a resolution, and then 30 days later, we're voting on it and nobody has a letter yet. You're voting on something that you have not seen, that is not written, and we're doing that. And then we go to full board, and Rachel, correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes I don't think we even have it by full board. The new rule is I will not put it on the full board agenda if you don't have a letter. And your letter, the draft needs to be to your committee 7 days before the 30 days. So you have your meeting today, 30 days from now will be the next meeting, you would vote on it there. That draft should be to your committee 7 days before that next meeting. Now, to make this a little bit easier, your liaisons can work with you. You don't have to write the whole resolution from scratch, all this. I'd like for people to start familiarizing themselves with it. I wrote one last night. Pretty easy template to follow on the website, but you could give your staff liaison the bullet points and they can put it into that format for you. It's not a lot of work. Again, you can delegate that around to other people on your committee. Essentially what I'm saying is you come in 7 days, people are informed on what they will be voting at committee. If there's any deliberations at the committee, any amendments to those letters or resolutions, essentially they're done there, you vote. Minor changes probably to the letter or resolution, needs to be 72 hours before full board. They need to go out with the agenda. I'm pushing that if you look at other community boards, every liquor license, everything is in their agendas, all there. They won't put them on. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I won't sign a single document for this board without reading every word of it. So I don't expect us to vote differently. I don't want to vote on things I don't see anymore. I will say there'll be exceptions if something is really, really time sensitive and we have to take a position on it. You know, we will bend on certain things. I will say if a chair and a vice chair have a pattern of that though, we have expectations, they have to be met. And I believe 100% that this group will meet them. But if people don't meet them, then we'll have to reevaluate. I will say that. So Xavier and then Nelson.
On the note of letters, there's certain, we have precedents with certain things we either supported our budget request or have supported that organization. I'm just gonna use Borican when they apply for the statewide grants, every year. We typically support that. Would that be an example of one that we can just fast track? Because typically they're on a tight timeline.
Well, here's the thing, I guess, and I wasn't talking about fast tracking. I was saying that if we just were put in a corner where we had to make a decision on something, but that would only be something to me that we needed to do because it was important for our community. Not because you came and you need a grant at the last minute and you don't have the information, now you're asking for a letter. No, we've been put in that position before. To your point, if people are coming for the same letters every year, then they should know to come before. Why do you come at the last minute? If you know you need this letter every time this year, come. And we're gonna approve it, right? I'm just saying, we're not gonna deny it, but come. If you know every year it's in June, come in May, that's my expectation. Nothing will work perfectly. But I will say this too. We need to know the power we have for our community. Other boards, when they see liquor licenses, they deal with it differently. You have to take things into consideration. We need more businesses. Some of these communities have more liquor licenses than they know what to do with. They have a different problem. But a lot of these boards, they're all motions to deny with conditions, meaning you want to put that building up? No, unless you do these 10 things. Not yes, and please do these 10 things. So I've been a proponent for this. I'm not saying we have to adopt it completely. I'm not saying we have to change the way we do things tomorrow. I want just to think about that idea that a no can be a yes, but it can be a more powerful yes sometimes. And I think that we're a very compassionate group, and I mean this. We're going to see that. We struggle with these attendance meetings a lot of times. I do believe we care and stuff, but we have to know that being tough and making tough decisions is also because we care. But at the same time, I want you to always all do what vote with your mind, vote with your heart, vote with whatever. But I just want to set certain kind of procedures here because I do think it'll be what's best for the work and will make our voice louder. And I think we have a great voice, but it needs to be heard. No, sir.
Okay, thank you for all that, Chair. I always appreciate your plain speaking. Now, we're talking about the chair and the vice chair responsibilities, but one thing I've noticed that I'm hoping you can tackle with the board oversight committee and your vice chair who's not here tonight, is the expectations of board members and the understanding actually of what a board member means and the conflicts of interest when you are a board member and you have an organization or business and you present a certain way, how maybe you shouldn't be the one to present and talk about it because that gives the community itch. And also the understanding of protocol, where if someone at the housing committee wants to do something, that they have to at least bring it to the committee and speak with the vice chair and the chair so that there's general consensus that that's a good idea, so that then that committee chair or vice chair can bring it to your attention and then you can move forward as opposed to bypassing protocol. So I would like one thing to be seen is the establishment through board oversight and your assistance, of what the protocol should be, so that people don't leapfrog over committee leadership, or do things outside the office, or even do things that you're not even aware of.
Well,
or you
and-
find out after the fact.
It's happened already. I won't say who or what, and I've confronted it head on and had respectful conversations, but I don't want to do it on a case-by-case basis. That'll take forever. The board oversight committee, the first 3 months are, and it'll be an ongoing thing, are for you guys to actually draw up your procedures. I don't want them to be mine. The whole, I think, theory was that the chair wouldn't be very involved in this. I mean, I will be there and watching and stuff, but I want this to come, I put that group together. A lot of members could have been on that and done a good job, but I put that group together because I think they can get that done. And I will say this too, to new members, I have made myself very, very available, and I will continue to do that. So I don't want to hear, oh, 7 months in, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. I understand, but now come and ask me. Don't go to a meeting, say out loud, oh, no one ever told me that. Come and ask me. And if you didn't know, we have to, and we have to figure it out. When I went to borough board, they thought this board oversight idea was a great idea. So it was not my idea, but putting it through. And you guys will meet every month. There won't be a grievance every month. There won't be an attendance hearing every month. So where do you fill that time? You could set up things. We could put you guys as mentors, this and that. We can have an ongoing onboarding with new members so that they don't feel lost. Because I don't blame them in a lot of ways. I was lost for a long time when I joined in the very beginning too. But I want to create an environment where if I hear that, then I know I'm not doing my job. And so I'm going to try my best. So yes, but that's your guys' purview.
Oh, no, it is, but we'd like to know, well, I'd like to know, not here,
Well,
but that we have an offline discussion.
I'll give you an example right now.
But the old members really need guidance.
I'll give you an example. I think, I'm gonna just be honest. I'm gonna be honest. We've had a lot of kind of like things that could have just been, we could have sat with each other and confronted things, and they spilled out into meetings where we were supposed to be doing work. And I told them at borough board, and I've told members here who at meetings when I came as chair that, and I understood it. They felt maybe like they didn't have a place and they don't know where can I, and I'm like, well, that's what that was made for. We got to be able to compartmentalize. So you feel heard, but it's not affecting the work or making the community think that that's what we're talking about. Things need to be said out loud, not to imply that people are doing those things, but to set rules. I'll get it to you after in 2 seconds. There have been things about somebody running for elected office and running for an officer position. I believe it has been established that you can run for an elected office and be a community board member, right? You can do that. And I'm going to say my opinion on it, if it's done right. Mm-hmm. Community board people are aspirational. When a lot of council members and stuff were board members. I don't know if we love that, but that's the borough president, I believe now, was put in that if you're a registered lobbyist, you cannot be on a board. So I believe that's what I heard today. So that's interesting. So they are considering certain things, but they have not considered you running for office. I will say this. If you want to run for office, run for office. I don't care. And I will not going to not make somebody give a position, a chair, whatever, of a committee. But my expectation is that your agenda is the agenda of this board and the agenda of this committee. If I get the slightest whiff that you are using, and I don't think anybody will, but then you will not be there. And I don't think it will happen. But I want to say that for the record, because I'm making my decisions and I believe in what I'm doing, and I believe if I say it out loud, it will go that way. But I know there's been feelings about that, and this is going to be something that's an ongoing thing when we're gone and when we're here. So I think the word is support is one, expectations is two, and accountability, and that's what it's going to be. And the same thing for me. Like, I want you guys to come tell me if you didn't like something I did or I did a bad job, because it'll make me better and I won't be offended. So it's a two-way street. Asher, and then I think we'll just go into these hearings should be quick and we can end for tonight.
Yeah, no, just add on to what Melissa says. I think just we need to, and you and I have spoken about this a little bit, just maybe like a general statement at full board, to maybe check with your committee chair and, because most of us, I'm pretty sure, are open book for our committee members, for them to just reach out to us before maybe sending an email,
Yes.
just so that they have some support and stuff like that. Because that's just, I don't think it's a malicious thing when
No.
people do that. But I think also just people need to understand that there's a certain protocol that we do things. Which is going back to like the basics of protocol, that I feel like some of these newer board members just maybe lay it out like very
I will.
plain, so that way they can't say that no one told them.
Oh, I agree with you, and I think we feel the same way, right? I believe the spirit and the initiative, to try to get something done, but there are processes. You can go to your committee chair can say to you, yeah, go ahead and reach out,
And
but
then,
it needs to go through the channels.
and then also just something for us to looking forward, and just to bring this up again, is certain new members joining the board just to promote their agenda and then disappearing. Because I'm already starting to see some of that happen as we're reaching January, February. Like they push for something for like their, just like, let's say their park, their school, their business, and then the minute that gets passed or not passed, they disappear.
Well, I will say this, we're in a unique position that we have a lot of vacancies. We have a new borough president who seems very engaged, and I think we're gonna have a lot of say in what kind of members we get out of the
Yeah,
board.
and one more question on the vacancies.
Yep.
Because I know in the past, people have filled vacancies in the middle of like the term.
Right.
Is that something that still can happen for
Yeah.
like, let's say we have like public members who have been very, very engaged. Who nominates them? Do they apply for that?
Public
Like, how
members?
does that work? Like
Public-
public members?
I do.
Oh, you nominate them?
I've already, full disclosure, I removed someone from housing because they were not showing up and they were affecting quorum. I thought they were a great member, and then I added someone to economic development
Yeah.
because they had been coming to meetings before they were a member. I met with them and I think they'll be a great asset.
But I'm referring to like public members who have gone to every meeting and they have participated in every meeting. How would they reach out?
To join the board?
Yeah, like people who wanna join the board, cause I've heard a few public members who are like, wait, I gotta wait till like May to
No,
apply.
the applications are open now.
Oh, they're open now.
Yeah, they can apply before February 27th.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I would encourage them to do that.
Sorry, I just wasn't sure how that
No, of
worked.
course, Xavier,
Mind if I address that?
go ahead.
Yeah, so the way the process works for our bylaws, the chair appoints the public members who sit on one or more committees that the chair designates. The application process, actually, the way it works is that it's open now, it will close in, I think, like a month or so. And then they review that. If we have mid-year vacancies, they will appoint them to 1 year and then they reapply the subsequent year. Or if they have a full 2-year vacancy, they'll put them in, but for them to be considered, they have to have an original application on file.
So they have to fill out the application now,
Correct.
and then they could be nominated to
Well, then they would be interviewed or and
Interviewed
then
and
considered, right?
to
and
take over like someone else's 1 year and five.
Correct, that's how it does it. Or if we have someone that resigns, say they suddenly have a job opportunity and that relocates them outside of the city, then they would pull from that applicant pool
Okay.
to then say, hey, we had a spot open up.
So they have to do the interviews with the borough president.
Yep, they have to do the whole
Okay.
full board
The
application.
full thing,
Correct.
okay.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, Derek, and then we're gonna go to the due process.
What can we do to push for filling vacancies early rather than doing nothing and just waiting to fill it is there any?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna take people at their word, and I believe them. I was very encouraged today. I mean, I didn't really know the administration before me, but I left very excited, and I feel like I can call them and tell them we have these vacancies, we need them to be filled, and they said they're open to hearing what we need. I'll be honest with you, one of my ideas is we have certain demographics and communities in this, that aren't in this board. I don't know if, I'm just being honest, I don't know if we have a Mexican member of the board, or if we have enough if we do, or enough Asian members and NYCHA and stuff. And I'm gonna stress that we gotta look at the demographics of the ages. Do we have enough younger people? Do we have enough people in their 30s? we know for a fact those are not even voter blocks in our community.
Or 20-year-olds, please.
Yeah, and well, I'm starting a social media task force, and and another board actually was saying they're kind of looking to do that. And the idea is to create more engaging content. We'll figure out what we can and cannot do, but we're looking for ways to get our voice out. We get these great events and this and that, and really know an avenue to always, get that out there. There are a lot of great programs for the youth that I'm seeing, and I'm like, I don't really know,
We need the next Asher, right? The next
we
person.
need the next tenant.
I am not that old. I'm
No,
21.
the person.
We need a bunch of
The
that.
person who's joined the board young.
We need
Right?
balance. I think I gotta really sit there and consider it, and I want everybody, we all could have the feedback. Nilsa, and then let's go into this hearing.
So one thing I did before I was chair was just go to some schools where I talked to people that were in high school and went to Manhattan Center and all that on my own, created a flyer. I actually took the flyer from the Manhattan Borough President's office, and you speak to their counselors that you are looking for people that are engaged, and a lot of times they will recommend certain students to look at the applications, and then they'll make it an announcement at the General Assembly. At that time, they used to do General Assemblies. I don't know if they do that anymore. But you have summer youth, you have work, learn, and grow. You have a whole bunch of programs that are for high school and college students that you can definitely reach out to, especially the summer youth sites that are all on the web. And you can send them copies of the application, especially East Harlem operators, to try to get younger people now to apply, because they use this a lot for service. And once they do this, they can apply at colleges to show that they have volunteerism and stuff like that. So there are avenues for us to get younger people. It's just that it takes work, and if people don't do it, it doesn't get done.
And also, I have like someone who is in their 20s on my committee, like full disclosure, like public member who I would say is doing a lot. So I think it would be good to have, not to be like that, sometimes I feel like the only younger person in the room sometimes. It would be nice to have other people who understand a little bit more like certain things, how stuff happens now. Like the social media thing that Demon's talking about. I feel like I would like to have a high school around here. Like that would be good. Like I joined when I was in high school, and that was a tremendous opportunity for me to do it. So yeah.
Thank you. Okay, let's go into the executive session. Motion to enter into executive by Derek. Do I have a second? Seconded by Asher. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Any present on voting? No. I'm gonna ask people that are not on the board, you're gonna have to step out in the waiting room. When they do, Xavier, if you don't mind closing the door.
Alex,
Is there anyone online, Angel, who
step out for a couple of minutes.
can public members be
member,
on?
yeah.
Oh, no.
We'll let you know.
No, you're a board member.
I'm about to say.
No, thank you for asking, but no, you're always here. If you pull the door. You can open the. Okay. Well, do I have a motion on the floor? For Jason moves?
If you don't mind, Chair, the first person said they were going to resign.
Right. No. And I'll get them to send a letter. And if they don't send the letter in, I will entertain a removal vote and new business at full board. I'll just say that now, so. Yeah.
It was verbal.
It was verbal, but if we don't get that letter, we'll put this on the
Witnesses.
Yeah.
They're all leaders, right?
But we'll just take a position at full board and we'll be fine. So with that said, so we don't have to address that one. We only have to address Jason. So do I have a motion for?
I make a motion for removal of Jason Wu.
There's a motion by Jewel. Do I have a second? Seconded by Rosa. Let's go to roll call.
Briha?
Remove. Yes.
Rosa Diaz,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Sage Mason. Marcel Roma.
No.
Asher Rodriguez.
Yes.
Xavier Santiago. Eric Stampone.
No.
Emery Vasquez.
No.
Jason Villanueva.
No.
The motion does not carry.
All right, it didn't carry. So we'll go to old business. Any old business?
No old business, I just have a comment if I may.
Yep.
When we do a vote, Drew is absolutely right, we have a process, and I say this all the time. And I brought up this process multiple times. If we have a process, then we have to follow that process, and it's not because we like people, we don't like people. And there are people that have come in front of this committee that have been the same people over and over and over, and we still retain them. And moving forward, I agree with Eric that there has to be a different process in mind. But she was absolutely correct in what she said. And the vote was correct, that's how it was done. There should never be an abstain because we have the information, right? So all I'm saying is that moving forward, we lose credibility if people stay on that have told us in our face that they have something else to do, and yet then we take.
I want to say,
So hopefully moving forward, we
well,
don't do this again.
I want to say something. I came in tonight, just gonna say, this, and I wasn't planning to vote the way I did. And the fact of the matter is, what Jules said is true. And I've been saying it for a long time. And it's messed up to start it at some point. But when I sat here and I'm thinking about it, we're talking about process. We have one. We do. And I have no problem. I'm envious of the people because I did not want to vote that way. My thing is you have to start somewhere. And Jewel, thank you for really putting that back, because I'm going to be honest with you, that's going to be my position moving forward. Regardless of who you are, you come to this table. I think me saying that as the chair on the record is putting that message out there that I think we have a process. Now, you guys are entitled to clean it up because I think people are going to need that. But I'm saying now that's my position. So go ahead.
I agree with you, and yes, we should move it forward and follow what's on the due process. But the same committee right here voted other people to stay.
I agree with you.
And it's not fair. So then why is it that Jason
Well,
had it different? No, and I get it, but moving forward now, it's gonna be the way it's supposed to.
Everybody voted, I believe, in their heart of hearts the right way. I don't think there was a wrong vote here. I think we all voted the right way and more people had a feeling. I don't think anybody wants.
We have a new chair.
I came in to not do that. And I went back on what I've been saying, and I'd be a hypocrite. You gotta start somewhere. And I'm putting myself on the record as that now, that we have rules. Let the board oversight do it, but we have rules. We just haven't
Let
followed
it be
them.
an example. of what
New
we have.
business?
I'm sorry,
Go
I
ahead.
forgot to mention this. I was gonna mention it. So with the snowstorm coming Monday, every school in the district has done an inventory of their laptops, and every student will be going home with a laptop, and parents can request a hotspot if they need it for in case of future weather events and stuff like that. That she said also, because I've had a few questions about, it was mentioned during youth and education, they're still trying to find out, locate the two students from Esperanza Preparatory School that were detained by ICE over the break, so they're still trying to look. Like, apparently they are in Texas, but they don't know necessarily why they were detained. So we don't know yet if it was an asylum, like, they were picked up on the street, is what. Yeah, and I just remembered when we were getting house. So I just wanted the district is working on those.
Keep posted. Okay, thank you.
Don't have any older new business, but during the announcements, I just wanted to say, I don't know if you mentioned this, join me.
Oh, I did.
The project manager, Sam Flynn, for the Children's Aid site. They've been getting a lot of complaints about the chipping. There were two types of rock. One that actually destroyed 12 chipper bits that go in to kind of break it down, but they are wrapping it up tomorrow, so a lot of the noise from demo will be complete, and they're gonna do the foundation floors, I think was, they said next Friday. So they've been, and then they'll be back on schedule, but that's what we're behind, is this bedrock, which hasn't seen, the sun, since, forever.
There were some dinosaur
Yeah,
fossils.
some dinosaurs there, so, that's where we bury the bodies, so, no. The other thing too, it's a joke. EcoDev, we have next week, Dan sent, an email to the general counsel and BPO about.
Waiting to hear back, yeah.
We may potentially, if the snow in the offices, citywide are closed.
So what I'm saying is if they give the green light, yes, but I say we wait till Monday morning, even if we do, because if the forecast is wrong, everybody should have been ready to come in anyway. We'll make the call Monday morning on that, if we have the green light. Jason, and then we'll do roll call.
I just have an announcement. Just everybody just keep their radars up. Pipeline for Veterans of America, it's a supportive housing project. They came to us pre-ULIP last month, you can watch the video. Again, they have not filed their application yet, but they're being proactive, they're having conversations with us. They're being diplomatic, right? Which today we talked a lot about conservatism. We can also be moderate and liberal, right? So we can be open to what's gonna be brought to us and then kind of take it from there. If there's any questions or concerns prior to their filing of the application, please reach out to me. I would like for us to be as proactive as possible as opposed to some of the concerns that happened last year with the Lantern project.
And we're gonna be doing a walkthrough of their current property. I think they do have February 12th at 3:30. We're in, but want us all to be in, all right? So.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Oh, great. Okay, awesome.
I haven't received that email.
Well, it's, I think for certain, well, if you wanna come, you can come. Well,
I
we'll send you
know.
later.
That's what
All
I'm
right,
saying.
you're
I'm gonna
coming,
use
you're
it.
coming. All right, Angel, roll call, please.
Council Morales, absent. Member
Present.
Rosa Diaz.
Present.
Joe Jones.
Present.
Sage Mason. Rosa Rama. Asher Rodriguez. Xavier Santiago. Eric Stanton. Emily Vasquez. Jason Villanueva.
Present. That's it. That is the correct designation, Rosa. If you're not here at the end, you're.
Yeah, yeah.
Really